welcome back to the Lit Cave. Today I'm going to begin another new series of videos that will be have its own playlist down below. And this this playlist is called Books I'm Scared to Read. Because there's a lot of books out there that I want to read. I'd like to read all the books. All the books that exist, every one of them. Give them to me. I want to read them. But the problem is, I'm scared to read some of them. And I got to get back in the habit of reading certain types of books that I haven't read in years. I recently discovered this as I started reading A Tale of Two Cities again for the first time, that it's hard. It's hard to read. If you haven't read Charles Dickens in a long time, it's hard. So, yes. So there's a lot of books that I want to read that I'm a little scared to read, and this first video is focusing on a handful of those. I was talking to another one of the teachers on campus about this today. We both share a love of reading, and she's a world geography teacher, so she especially is interested in books that are historically oriented, and I love anything that has to do with history or literature. So we were talking about books in the French Revolution. Now, books I do not want to read in the French Revolution are Reflections on the Revolution in France. I think Edmund Burke. Maybe getting the author wrong. It's been a while since I read that. Read that for a college class. And interesting information. Pretty boring. Important, but boring. The four books that I really want to read that are focused on the French Revolution are these four. I would really like to read from Alexandre Dumas. I would really like to read The Three Musketeers and The Man in the Iron Mask. I want to read The Three Musketeers way more than I want to read The Man in the Iron Mask, but I'd like to read them both. I think that they'd both be fantastic. So one of the ones that would be on this list is A Tale of Two Cities, but I'm actually about halfway through with that, rereading it right now. Because my students are reading it now. It's been a while. I've read it, but it's been a while. So I'm rereading it. But A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens was definitely one of my absolute favorite books growing up, like in school books. I remember loving it a lot. So A Tale of Two Cities, and then the last one, and the one I'm most eager to read, the one I'm really hoping to get a copy of before too long, at the latest I'd like to get a copy of this book by my birthday, is Les Miserables. Now, a couple things make this book specifically challenging. One, it's long. Incredibly long. Remarkably, insanely, dramatically long. Very long book. Two, is that when you read a book that's been translated, sometimes the translation makes a huge difference. For instance, in high school, I was required to read Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and I hated it so much. It was my least favorite book that I read in school. I remembered it more than the books I liked because I hated it so much. Now, in college, with the same professor that I was reading Reflections on the Revolutions in France, I also read Crime and Punishment again. New translation. This is the Pavir and Volokhosky, I probably got those names wrong, translation. So good. In fact, so good that I went and bought another Dostoevsky book in that translation. I bought The Brothers Karamazov, which that'll show up in another video in this playlist. But so finding the right translation can make a big difference, and the right edition. So, for instance, with Les Miserables, there is a new edition coming out soon, like in February, and it looks like this. There it is. Can you see that gorgeousness? I know it's a little shiny. There we go. Oh, so beautiful. Revel in it. Now, this edition only comes out in paperback and which I tend to prefer hardback, especially with a really big book, because it's very hard not to break the spine with a bigger book like that. And this edition, which is the Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition, is a new translation by Christine Donaher. And I might have pronounced her last name wrong, but a new translation by Christine Donaher. I have not read anything about her translation abilities or how good she is or not. And since this is new, it's the first new translation in a long time. And so I don't know anything about it. Now, there is another edition that I'm very interested in, and this is the edition that I bought A Tale of Two Cities in, and that is the Penguin Hardcover Classics Edition. And this translator is Norman Denny. Now, I've heard a lot of good things about Norman Denny's translation of Les Miserables, but I've also heard at least one person say that they had a really hard time with his translation. They felt like his translation didn't capture the essence of what Victor Hugo was trying to say. So that's a challenge too. Now, this translation comes hardbound, and it's actually cloth bound, and look at how beautiful that is. So I have A Tale of Two Cities in that translation. It would be nice to get that in that translation as well. And even I could get the Man in the Iron Mask in that translation. I could not get the Three Musketeers in that translation, and that breaks my heart a little bit. So, I've got to figure it out. It's very difficult. If you have a thought as to which version of Les Miserables I should get, leave it in the comments. Right there. That is a huge finger right there. In the meantime, I'm going to try and read some of these books, and I'm going to listen to the soundtrack to Les Miserables over and over and over and weep in my car as I go through the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. Until the next video, see you same lit time, same lit channel.